Posting pictures on the gram so other people know that we're more than friends.
Hey you guys, what is up? This is Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. This week I am sharing with you guys from my meal prep 2 of my favorite cookie recipes and my famous honey roasted granola.
Taking you home. I don't wanna go back to who I used to be. So if you ever leave me, promise you won't let me down.
Alright, so this first recipe that I'm sharing with you guys, I will leave below the closest measurements that I can come up with, because if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I'm horrible at measurements, but we're going to gauge by what I'm doing here. So basically granola is just adding, well, granola, oats, and here I am adding some of these made good rice puffs. They're just kind of like a healthier version of rice cereal, but you could use Rice Krispies if you wanted to. I'm adding in some slivered almonds. You could add walnuts or pecans, anything you want, you guys. That's the fun of making granola. You could add dried fruit. You will do that after you cook it up though. So all I really add to mine, you guys, is some almonds, some coconut. I use sweetened coconut because that's how we roll, some rice puffs, and some oats. And then I'm going to go ahead and you need some sort of fat to bind all of this together. So I like to use coconut oil. It's just easier. And I usually add around equal parts honey, and I add a few splashes of maple syrup. It's that simple, you guys. You're going to pop that in the microwave, melt it so it's cohesive, maybe for 30 seconds tops. Combine all your oats. You're going to add some cinnamon. I even threw in some pumpkin spice here. Combine it all, mix it together. You don't want it to be soaking wet, but you want it to be saturated enough that it's going to crisp up and get delicious in the oven. Forgot to mention that I did add a little splash of vanilla, probably about a teaspoon or so. Now I didn't add all of the liquid in at first. You can always add a little bit more, but you can't take it out. So I went ahead and added it. It's all about feel, you guys. Like I said, you don't want this to be saturated and drenched, but you want to make sure that every little piece of granola in there is coated. So you're going to see in a minute, I'm going to get right in there with my hands. You guys know I don't mind getting my hands dirty when I'm cooking. So we're going to make sure everything is covered. And then we're going to lay it out on a baking sheet. Now what you're about to see is ideally I would have used 2 baking sheets. So I ended up cooking this a little bit longer, but it's fine. It still turned out amazing.
I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself.
So like I said, normally this would happen on 2 trays, but I was using the other trays to make the cookies we're about to see in a few minutes. So I threw these in here at 300 for about a half an hour. Now you're gonna wanna toss these around if you're layering it up like I did about halfway through to make sure it gets a nice toasty crunch.
Not to hold me down, feel alive when I'm in this town.
One thing I will mention as well is don't feel tempted to leave this in the oven any longer, because I did notice that it seems to darken a little bit, or it crisps up and it kind of dries out a little more as it sits and cools on the pan. So all I'm doing now is I just keep this in an OXO storage container and I make sure it's completely cooled, just so that it's not developing any heat within the container. And the kids will eat this up with some milk.
Or I could be someone else.
And now, no bake cookies or chocolate macaroons, or growing up, we called them chocolate frogs. I don't know if it's just the way they kind of flatten out when you make them. Who knows? Now, I was watching Fallon on Moss Family TV the other day make these, and she talked about how these are the cookies that you never know if they're gonna set. In the history of me making these, they have always set. I made these last week and they didn't set. It blew my mind. I was like, she must have put that in my head. So anyway, just make sure you follow these steps and they should turn out just right. I was a little bit lazy when I made my other batch last week and didn't do it quite as sequentially as this one, I guess you could say. Anyway, it's fine. They still turned out. Now these ones turned out perfectly. At the beginning there, I just showed you my recipe book. Again, this is a recipe I've been making since I was, I don't know, 5 years old. I probably wasn't doing it myself when I was 5, but you know what I mean. So basically, you want to heat up all of your ingredients on the stovetop, less your coconut and your oats and your vanilla. Once everything melts and is combined, you kind of let it boil for about a minute. You pull it off the heat, you add your vanilla. I don't add peanut butter to mine. I'm not sure what the recipe would be for that. Honestly, I've never done that, although there are really good recipes on here with peanut butter. Like I said, Fallon over at Moss Family TV just did one in a day in the life that she did. Now, I'm going to add the vanilla, and you're going to see it's going to start to puff up here and get kind of puffy, which is why I think you do it off of the heat. And immediately pour in all of your oats and coconut and stir to combine as quick as you can. And then you're going to scoop it onto a cookie sheet with some parchment paper and let those babies chill in the fridge.
Slipping away, so don't let me go, nah, 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 nah. I'm all up in that love haze, so where do we go, nah, nah? Just let me know that I am safe here in your arms. I wanna stay, stay. I'm slipping away, so don't let me go now. Your love is exceptional.
Sometimes I use a cookie scoop, a giant ice cream scoop. It just depends. Today I was feeling rustic and I just wanted to spoon them out. This used to be my favorite part as a kid. My mom would always let me scrape the crusty bits off the bottom of the pot once it cooled off and eat it off of the spoon because it had started to set already. Literally my favorite thing as a kid, and it is still my favorite thing as an adult. Go guys, we are wrapping this up with a recipe I have shown you before, but I am not afraid to repeat recipes on my channel because I believe in it. These are the breakfast cookies. It is not my recipe. I will leave the link down below. They are amazing. Basically throw all of the good things that you have, nuts, chocolate chips, dried fruit, cranberries, raisins, all of that. Throw it in and mix it together. And you saw, you guys, I tried to do this with my whisk at first. It was quite an experience. And I will tell you, since we're just sitting here and we're chatting, at this point, I'm adding the ingredients and all of a sudden realized that I was trying to half a recipe and then doubled the ingredients, messed it up royally, had to walk away for about half an hour, which is why you saw I just jumped the clip there. And we skipped right ahead to adding the dry ingredients because I had a mild breakdown, and then we moved on and said, all right, we can fix this. I fixed it. Now I'm adding all of my dry ingredients. You're going to see that this is quite a tough batter to mix, and I'm going to end up having to get in there with my hands yet again. One tip I will say is I like to use mini chocolate chips in these cookies as opposed to full size. Otherwise, they start to just feel like chocolate chip cookies with nuts and fruit in them. This way, they're kind of just a part of the entire cookie. So I am just using a regular cookie scoop here. You can buy this usually anywhere, Walmart, even the dollar store has them here in Canada. So definitely check it out. It will make your life much, much easier. So I'm gonna scoop as many cookies onto this sheet as I can and throw them into the oven. And you're gonna see in a little bit, I'm actually going to reserve some of the batter that was left because frankly, I had run out of energy at this point and I was feeling defeated. So I end up saving some of the batter to make later in the week in a Ziploc bag. But here they are, you guys. Perfection. These are so fun to eat in the morning for breakfast.
I know I have to pay for the mistakes.
Okay, leave a comment down below. Do these cookies running into each other stress you out? Is this inducing anxiety for you? It was really bugging my daughter. She hated that I let these cookies touch. Personally, I like the rustic and kind of organic look of them like this, breaking them apart and throwing them in there. It just makes them, I don't know, it makes it feel a little more like oatmeal and like I'm eating something healthy, even though I just saw everything that I put into them. And it's probably not the best thing, but you know what? It works and I made it and my family likes them. Stored them in a Tupperware container, and now once everything was cleaned up and put away, my macaroons were ready to be stored. And that is it, you guys. Super basic. This isn't really super meal prep week, but this is a week of prepping some goodies for my family, whether it's yogurt for granola or granola for yogurt, or granola and milk for breakfast in the morning, some breakfast cookies, some chocolate macaroons, a sweet treat after school. These are the things that I love to do, and I love sharing them with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.